I remember working on this episode. This is actually the episode where I talk about the watches and disguises and all that kind of stuff. Just kind of give you like an overview of what each watch does and kind of give you an idea of how to act, just the basics of role playing. And the editing for this episode was just an absolute fucking nightmare because what happened was the Vegas file that I had all the footage in just it crashed basically. Like every time I tried to open it, it crashed Vegas, and it got corrupted. I don't know how it got corrupted, but it got corrupted. So I basically lost like um, I want to say it was 15 minutes of video, but in work it was about 5 to 7 hours worth of just straight editing. So I was really fucking pissed. I love this clip though. This is such a nice clip. Such a nice clip. But it was such a fucking nightmare to edit this because I had to like literally retrace my steps editing wise, and it was just so stressful. But I finally managed to finish it, and it turned out pretty okay. Had a really kind of a dark atmosphere though, like a lot darker than the other videos I think, at the time anyway. Um, the reason why I chose to do Team Fortress Classic and just kind of throw that in there, I just wanted to kind of compare, like give people a sort of a contrast of how Spy was back in the day, and then compare it to how he is now. Um, at the time I was recording this, Spy was somewhat balanced because there wasn't stuff like the home wrecker and all that other kind of stuff that was in the game, and we had quite a few tools at our disposal. Like we had Dead Rigger, Cloak and Dagger, Ambassador, and we haven't really had the whole poly count set come out yet. Engineer didn't have his update, I would think. And at the time, Spy was pretty balanced, but whenever you add new items, it creates a sort of a power creep depending on how powerful or how not powerful it is. And what ended up happening is that they kept adding so many spy counters and so many things that like really just fuck over Spy, and so they had to give us stuff like the Spy Sickle, and I guess that's why they made the Enforcer. I really don't care for the Enforcer though. Like the Man of Honor set is like probably the worst items that we have. Everything else is actually pretty good for Spy overall. Diamondback and Electron J are kind of underpowered, but they're still good concepts at the very least. They just need a few tweaks to make them a little bit stronger compared to the Ambassador. Spy and TF2 was incredibly underpowered though. You couldn't cloak. Fading was just you basically falling on the floor, and you only had disguises, and it was just really kind of hard to play that class. It was fun for what it was though. And yeah, I wanted to get like a kind of a contrast of like how Spy was in TFC compared to how he is now. And you didn't have cloak in TFC, now you do. You had a shotgun and a nail gun. Now you just have a revolver that's really reliable and consistent in terms of damage. And there's just a ton of different things about the Spy and just TF2 in general compared to TFC. And then I kind of like go into like how each watch is different and how each one fits different situations. The Invis watch still is today probably my favorite watch, just cause it's so reliable. It's just consistent. Unlike the Cloak and Dagger, which I feel really slows you down, and the Dead Rigger, which makes you really predictable, the Invis watch just makes you consistent. It's very reliable. You can do illusions with it. You usually have a good amount of cloak time with it, and you really don't have to worry about a lot of different things in regards to how you manage your cloak and how you get around the map. Like it's just an overall really balanced watch, and I think the Cloak and Dagger is a good contrast to it, like in terms of how it works. Like I have a certain analogy to compare the two. The Invis watch is like the hawk, and the Cloak and Dagger is like the spider. And the reason why I use that analogy is because the way these two animals hunt are very different in comparison to each other. The hawk soars overhead, looks at what it can find, and then it swoops down. gets what it wants, and then swoops back out. That's kind of how the invisibility watch is. You kind of just cruise around cloaked, and then you find what you want, kill it, and then go about your business. The cloak and dagger is more of a waiting game, more of a wait in the corner somewhere, or wait until something comes in your general vicinity, and then you kill it. You don't really go looking for prey. Your prey basically comes to you. At least it's how I feel it is. But I could be wrong. And illusions are something that I think a lot of spies don't quite understand. And it's something that I'm going to cover in Addendum 5 when I get to it. It's because, like, I don't understand how people, like, manage to play spy without understanding how illusions work. And yeah, this is pretty much a really good example of how illusions work, because I kind of give you the sort of mindset of how the enemy will think and what you should be doing in comparison to them. Though they only go about what they can see, and from there you basically get really creative with illusions and really fuck with their heads. So it's just really kind of crazy stuff you can do. And a large part of why spies probably don't understand illusions is because of Deadringer, because it kind of does that work for them. But at the same time, the Deadringer makes them sort of really predictable. And what you don't want to be with spy is predictable. You don't want to be so, like, easy to read. Otherwise, you're basically screwed, because they know exactly what to expect from you. The invisibility watch and cloak and dagger kind of keep that from happening if you know how to use them properly. So soldiers still are kind of my worst enemy. And this is on the Nom 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 server. That's why you had the tail there. This is probably my favorite kind of illusion to do, where you go by the med kit and cloak, and then the pyro just completely fucking loses track of you. It's just so hilarious, because they're just like, what the fuck are? So, yeah. I'll cover illusions in Addendum 5, because it seems like a lot of spies forgot how to do these. And it's really sad, to say the least. I'll cover blind spots as well. And I still use these a lot today. It's just, a lot of people will basically figure out what kind of all the possible blind spots a spy could use, and once they kind of do that, you basically get shut down really easily. So you can't completely rely on them. You just gotta learn how to. You gotta learn how POV works and what people are. How I put this. You gotta kind of predict people. You gotta understand what they're gonna be expecting from you and how to think ahead. They'll expect you to be one spot and you're actually in another, basically. It's really hard to explain on top of my head. It's something that you kind of learn with game sense, and you only really get that when you play competitive like Sixes or Highlander. Yeah, in most leagues that would not work. And I actually do remember using these skins when I played TF2. And a large part of why I stopped using skins was because they weren't always consistent, and it didn't always show up in the demos and the servers that I played on. So it just didn't really make much sense for me to keep using them if they only worked in certain situations. So, plus people keep asking me where the download links are for these skins, and I just got tired of having to link to them every time. So, another reason. Cloak and Dagger time. This thing about the Cloak and Dagger that I don't think a lot of people understand. It's not meant for pubs, because Cloak and Dagger is highly reliant on your teammates being communicative. They actually talk to you. They actually communicate with you about what they need you to do and how they need you to do it. Cloak and Dagger is designed for competitive play. You can call out where the medic is, what medic gun he's running, how much charge he has, where their demos at, where their soldiers at, where their scouts are at, where their engineers set up, where their combo is going. It's a very strong competitive watch. Um, a very good spy, Fixer. He used the cloak and dagger. I think he said 90% of the time, and he's one of the best spies in the entire league, basically. So that should speak a lot about the cloak and dagger's power and how it's actually really how good it actually is. And it's like I said before, like it doesn't really show its power in pubs because it's not a pub watch. It's not made for a public server where everybody's kind of just DMing or deathmatching. They're not actually communicating with each other. They're not actually trying to use teamwork. It's just you basically just win on whoever is killing the most people. And so a lot of people would just immediately dismiss it as a really bad watch. I mean, I did it myself when I first started using it, but once excuse me, once I started playing Highlander, I started to see just how powerful this watch really is. So I'll probably cover it again in Addendum 5, and I should cover a lot of topics from this episode on Addendum 5 because the whole purpose of the Addendum was kind of to just me to for advanced players to have an advanced spy guide for them. Talk about the things they probably might not know, whereas the original season was supposed to be sort of a beginner spy guide. And it's also like a work in progress for me because I'm teaching you these things while I'm learning them. So it's like literally like I'm learning at the same pace as you guys are. I'm trying to share what I'm learning with you as I'm learning it. So it's pretty interesting to say the least, I think. And this is actually a pretty big strength of the Cloak and Dagger. Like I said here, like it's a spider. You're literally waiting for your prey to come to you, not the other way around. I'm just sitting here camping and I'm gonna get kills like out the ass. And smoke. I remember the days when I played with on player gaming, and it was a really tough environment to play in. And it was only later on when I realized just why it was such a hard environment to play on, because like a lot of times, even though it's Texas team players and it's a team player server, it's all about, teamwork and communication. It just came down to people with a lot of DM. It didn't really come down to actual coordination or whatever, because you'd have the regs who would unfortunately stack one team and they would win because they had more regs than the other team did. The rest of the people that were on the other team were just a bunch of just players that just happened to join the server. The only time when you ever really felt that the teams were fair is when you had like an equal amount of regs on both teams, and matches would constantly stalemate, and you'd win by like a hair. Like you'd win offense or defense by a hair. Deadringer. Oh my god. Back in the day, Deadringer was considered a balanced watch because it's still predictable. It's just such a predictable watch, but the way it works and the way it's designed, it's really easy to figure out. It doesn't have a... It's not anywhere near as reliable as the Invisibility Watch or Cloak and Dagger are, because if they know you're using the Deadringer, they know how to shut you down. They know what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, because it relies on the fact that you have to take a hit in order to cloak. And with that kind of thing in mind, if they know that you're using the Deadringer, then they know exactly what you're going to try to do. You're going to just walk in either disguised as an ally or disguised as an enemy, and you take like one hit and they immediately start trying to track you. And the Deadringer does have its uses. It's not like it's not completely useful. It's just it's not one watch you want to constantly use. You want to change it up a bit. You want to switch between like Invis Watch, Cloak and Dagger, and Deadringer like constantly, because it makes you harder to predict. It makes you harder to figure out what you're gonna do next. It makes it really hard for the enemy team to counter predict you and so on and so forth. Nowadays, though, Dead Ringer is just like people bitch about it so much, and a lot of people consider it overpowered or some shit like that, and I just laugh at them because it's like not even close. It's nowhere near close to being overpowered. And I can understand why people don't like it, but it's kind of the point of the watch. It's like being pissed off at the crits creed because, it gives like soldiers or demos like 8 seconds of crits. That's kind of the point of the metagun. Kind of like how it's the whole point of the Deadbringer to give Spy that protection after feigning, because otherwise, what would be the point of faking your death if they just keep shooting at you and kill you anyway? So, I think a large part of why people bitch about the Deadbringer nowadays is because of stuff like the Enforcer and the Spycicle. But even then, like, Enforcer, I admit, like, if it was removed, I really wouldn't care. But the Spycicle, like, it's not like Pyros don't have a chance to get the Spycicle. They still have ways to deal with it. They can use other weapons besides just a flare gun and their flamethrower. And if a Pyro is running straight up, flare gun, extinguisher, degreaser, then you're shit out of luck. The Spy knows you're running that loadout, and he has a way to deal with it. Sorry. You're not going to always be able to kill the Spy. You're not always going to be able to get away with like an easy, light him up, air blast, flat flare strategy. So it's not like it's completely fucking broken, and it's not like the Spycicle is without its own downsides. Losing your knife right before you get a medic pick is without a doubt the worst fucking thing in the world. It is easily the most frustrating thing for a Spy, because you had the pick right there in your hands, and you lose it because of one particle. Like, I don't think a lot of people who play Pyro or any other class besides, like, they play other classes except for Spy, they don't understand just how valuable the knife is to you. Like, they don't understand that having to hide your knife before you can even make a kill because you're worried about the Pyro removing it at the last second is incredibly annoying and frustrating to use. They don't understand it at all, and I really don't expect them to. The music here is from Over. Back in the day, this is actually a large part of what I listened to, just this kind of music. And I still do listen to Over. It's just, I found other bands that are a little bit more positive. Because back in the day, this is back when I was somewhat of a depressing person. And it had a large part to do with the people, like the person I kind of like was dating at the time. She was a very negative individual, so naturally the music that I listened to was fairly negative as well. Nowadays, though, I've hung out with a lot more positive people, and thus the music that I listen to is a lot more positive as well. But it still had this dark atmosphere that I wanted these original videos to have. It's very smoky, film noir kind of thing, which is what I was going for. And these songs are actually from like 3 different CDs. It's Perdition City, I can't remember the other names of the CDs, but I know I used like 4 different discs total of Over music. And that's really frustrating to deal with too. When people can like hear your decloak even though they have a minigun revved up, ready to go, and they can still hear your fucking decloak noise. No, let's make the Dead Ringer like really fucking quiet, but not like make the invisibility watch quieter at all. Or the Cloak and Dagger for that matter. So, yeah. I still remember the sound test, and I've done the sound test like I think I did the sound test again when the Addendum 3, and it was kind of silly how like the Saharan set like kind of deafened the sound of the invisibility watch and Cloak and Dagger, but it did not in any way, shape, or form like deafen the sound of the Dead Ringer. It just removed it. The Dead Ringer decloak noise is just removed entirely, which is ridiculous, to say the least. I really do feel like the Saharan set bonus should be its own watch as opposed to one that's like it's a bonus for a specific loadout. Because no serious player will want to use the Saharan set with anything but the Deadbringer. And it's much better off as a watch because then I could use like stuff like the Ambassador or the Kunai or other watches or other items in 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 conjunction with this watch, and that'd be a lot more effective, a lot more versatile. And this is where I talked about disguises. I talked about the disguise and how to act, and it it's something that I really do want to kind of embellish on in Addendum 5, but I'm not quite sure how to explain it. I mean, a large part of it is just, you know, what will spy do? And trying to do exactly what the opposite of that. A spy would be aiming for the person's back while he's going toward them, whereas someone who's not a spy would probably just be staring off in another direction entirely. So what you want to do is you want to like stare in the opposite direction of your target, but be strafing in their direction. So if someone is on your right, look to your left and strafe to the right, so that way they assume, oh, he's just trying to go, he's trying to push in with the team. Oh shit, he stabbed our med, that kind of thing. It's really kind of hard to explain how acting works. I mean, these are just general rules of acting right here, but and it's more or less just understanding what the enemy team is expecting from you. Disguise choice, movements, actions. It's really kind of hard to explain, and you usually learn it as you go. It's easier than for me trying to explain it to you. This is Smoke, and I learned a lot from him. I don't think he's gotten enough credit, but he doesn't play Spy anymore. He plays Medic and Demo now, mostly. He played Spy like back in the day when it was just like we didn't have like you could pick up ammo to restore a cloak, and you only had you had that really old backstab animation. We had like the delay and the wind up and everything. So he's pretty much a veteran spy. And he saw my commentary on Asheville when I posted it. He's like, "What? I'm disappointed in you. I taught you better than that." I'm just like, ugh. I still can't use a revolver. I'm trying to learn how to use it because I've kind of reached my limit with the Ambassador, and my aim can only go so far from there. And that was actually a pretty good clip because it really just showed just how easy it is to see people at times with the right disguise. Like right here. I just kind of like do some basic scout actions and everybody thinks I'm a scout. And I just get in for the stab. Headshot. It's really just more or less just understanding where your class disguise is going to be at a specific time and what their usual actions will be. A scout will be jumping around, a sniper will be kind of stationary, moving back and forth every so often. A heavy will be calling for med, a soldier will be calling for med, etc., etc. Just play the other classes and watch what they do, and then, use that to your advantage when you're acting. If you really want to work on your acting, you can also use Deadbringer to help you get better at that as well. I hate Gold Rush. I really, really fucking hate Gold Rush. RJ, for whatever reason, loves this map. I can't stand it. I cannot fucking stand Gold Rush at all. It's just such an infuriating map to play on. It's just so much spam. It's like the Dust Bowl of payload. Actually, no, that probably belonged to Hoodoo. Hoodoo is like, oh, you thought Gold Rush was bad. And yeah, this doesn't work in Highlander, by the way. You don't usually get Ubered in Highlander unless it's like completely by accident and the Meg is like, wait, what? Did I just... Oh, god damn it. And you're just like, lol. Hello, 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 hello. That's the power of mumble right there, because that makes this kind of stuff impossible. But it's hilarious to do on pubs though, to get Ubered by an enemy medic or get heals. And with this, the outro, I really want to do something cool, like kind of like a something unexpected. So what I do is I kind of give my last words and then change the color and the background a little bit and the music, and it kind of adds this sort of dread to what's to come beyond. So it's pretty cool. And that wraps up the episode 6 commentary. Thanks for watching, and hope you guys enjoyed my rambling. Later.